Hello and welcome back to the good people. I don't think we have much more left of the demo, but still 2 of our potential love interests to meet, so let's jump right back in. Chapter 7. The Horned Devil. As Maithe heaves open the heavy wooden doors, a wave of heat falls over me. The warmth eases the bitter autumn wind from my very bones, but just as soon as I begin to feel myself relaxing, something else strikes my senses. The rich, all-encompassing smell of a freshly cooked feast. We still haven't eaten, have we? I blink, taking in the strange scene before me. What kind of throne room is this? It's nothing like the Seelys. In fact, if not for the literal throne at the far back, I wouldn't have realized this was a throne room at all. Agreed. If anything, it's more of a public dining hall. The majority of the room is consumed by a massive wood table, covered end to end with all sorts of food and drink. I feel my mouth water enviously as I watch the crowd of peasants and soldiers mingle and treat themselves to the fresh loaves of bread, steaming hot meats, fruits and vegetables, cakes and cheeses, mead and whiskey. My stomach twists painfully, audibly. Go ahead. Huh? You're hungry? Eat something. We'll be waiting a while still. The Doctor's feast feeds all. The All-Father god of a Tuatha Day, associated with fertility, masculinity and druidry. He is married to the Morrigan, the goddess of chaos and war, taking many names and many forms. Have you seen her crows by chance? Oh, okay. No, thank you. I'm fine. Of course, that was just about the biggest, fattest lie I've ever spoken in all my life, but I just couldn't. Even now, I had to hold out hope. Suit yourself. With that, Maeve steers us away from the table and down off to the side, right around the center of the room. The silence is awkward, so I break it. Ask about the Doctor's feast or ask about the king? Yeah, I want to know about both, thank you very much. But yeah, let's go with the Doctor's feast. So, why is it called the Doctor's feast? You know about the 4 treasures, don't you? Remind me? Maeve chuckles. I understand. I tuned out a lot of the Druids' historical lessons as well. I raise my eyebrow. Maeve was taught by the Druids. Interesting. A long time ago, this place, Tir na nog, was a series of islands named Falias, Gorias, Phineas and Murias, which now make up our provinces. As far as we know, all the islands sort of melded together after our ancestors left for Inisfell. Anyway, before they left, 4 treasures were taken from each island. The first treasure was the Lia File. It used to cry out for the next High King if a line of succession never ended, but the stone was broken by Chulain thousands of years ago. Wait a minute. Lia Fal, Stone of Destiny. In the old world, it heralded the coming of a new High King with a mighty cry. How would that have sounded like? Ku Kullan. A legendary warrior, also known as Kullan's Hound. He was known for being able to enter into a battle frenzy that did not distinguish between friend or foe. So a double-edged sword. Okay, stone was broken by Bukolan thousands of years ago. Ever since, it's never... Well, never mind. Oh, tell me more? Still so confused. The next treasures were the Gloiv Solish, Sword of Light, and Goyasal, Spear of Asal. It is said to be impossible to overcome, which would become the legendary weapons of Nuada and Lu, the god of wisdom and the first High King of the Tuatha Dé. He is known by the epithet Arkelam, meaning silver hand. Okay. And Luke, a warrior god associated with justice, truth, and rightful kingship. He is one of the High Kings of Tuatha Dé and is also known by the epithets Lamfada, meaning long arm, and Samildanak, meaning skilled in many arts. I'm not supposed to remember any of this, am I? For a long time, it was thought those treasures were lost to time, but when the spirits of Nuada and Luke were reborn in the rebel kings, both sword and spear were gifted to them by the gods as a blessing for the unseelie cause. As for the final treasure, you're standing in it. I look around perplexedly for a moment. What do you mean? This room is Kore Ansik, Cauldron of Plenty. It's said that no man shall walk away from the cauldron in want. Or what's left of it. The doctor was said to have ascended to Mokmel, delightful plain where all the Tuatha Dé hope to one day dwell. So like heaven? The doctor was said to have ascended to Mokmel after this time in Inisfal? So imagine our surprise when we find his cauldron overturned here, abandoned in the countryside. Most believe it was left as a gift. Or maybe he just dropped it. Either way, the stronghold was built up around it, and now this room holds host to an eternal feast. No matter how much you eat, it will always be replenished, so the throne room is kept open for everyone. Food can be harder to come by in these parts, especially the further north you go. There used to be some trade with Falias for that reason, but after the war... Well, the king's of a mind that if you've come all this way, you best be able to leave with your belly full. That's a good first impression of a ruler. Are you sure you won't eat? No, Oh, Mori, are you giving my friend over there a hard time? Abruptly cut off, Maeve and I both look up in the direction of the dais, where someone distinctly not kingly sits on the throne. Okay. Robin, get down from there. But this Robin person ignores Maeve entirely, choosing to instead set his gaze squarely on me. It's almost like a spoiler if you can already click on it. But there we have it, Robin Goodfellow, the certified fool of the Unseelie court. The given name means fame bright, the surname means congenial companion.
Bah, Daoine! Did you go breaking the court's treaty of mutual surrender just to see little old me? You shouldn't have! Really? You shouldn't have!
Oh hey, catch! Robin practically jolts out of the throne, reeling back their arm and giving it a good swing forward. Before I quite realize it, a vaguely brownish-looking blob is hurling its way across the room, right toward my face. Do I have to dodge? All I can do is flinch and fling my arms up over my head, but the collision never comes. When I dare to open my eyes again, I see Maithe glowering furiously at Robin, her hand outstretched in front of me and clenching onto my saddlebag? This yours, is it? Gawking, I reach out and grab it from her. Sure enough, as I tear through the contents of the bag, all of my things are still in it. I stand there, baffled. How did you... How'd I... what? I startle as Robin is suddenly standing right in front of me, grinning ear to ear. Hastily swinging the bag back around behind me, I stand up straight and jab my finger into their chest. How did you end up with my saddlebag? Was that your horse? You could say that. I feel my face heating up the more I look at that smug, devil-may-care face. Why did you steal my saddlebag? Steal? Me? Why, I never. I was holding on to it for you, Dee. You just left it lying around. It was on my horse. I know. It's enough to make a poor kid jealous. Robin, stop this. You're not a child. Sure I am. Look at me, a true kid at heart. So am I to take it that the Druid's account is true then? They followed you through a ley line after you made off with their things for some inexplicable reason? Seems plausible. Right. Well, that's one problem sorted at least. Now we know for certain it was an accident. That should help when I explain this mess to the king. Well, ooh, you don't really have to drag him into all this, do you? With all that's happened recently, he might not take too kindly to... Of course I have to tell him. This is a matter of security. But I could just pop them back over right now and no one's the wiser. Except me, you, the Druid. Anyone they may tell. You can keep a secret, can't you, Dee? Robin. Maeve? This is serious. Accident or not, you forced us into a sensitive diplomatic situation. Oh, I got it. Big man said he wanted eyes on the inside, didn't he? Well, here you go. Eyes on the inside, trustworthiness certified. We can just tell him that, and ignore the other bits. What? No. No, I'm not going to lie to the king. It's not a lie, just a little bit of bullshit. And we all do a little bit of bullshitting from time to time, don't we, Maeve? Unimpressed. After all, this isn't exactly the first time a... Hold your tongue. Smiling, Robin proceeds to stick out his tongue and hold it. Physically. You stay here with the Druid. I'm going to find the king and request a private audience with all three of us, and we're going to be forthright with him. But in the meanwhile, keep a low profile for once, would you? As Maeve begins to walk away, Robin swerves around and grabs me by the shoulders. Oh, you help me out here, would you? Help? Do not. This is very vague. Like, I'm all for helping people, but I'm kind of on Maeve's side here. Like, we have to be truthful. That's just who I am, okay? It's just safer for everyone, I think. So, no, I'm sorry. I'm with Maeve. I blink. And why the hell would I do that? You robbed me. Robin lets her arm fall to the side as she sighs loudly. Why are the pronouns switching all around? Like, I know they're supposed to be, what is it? Non-binary, basically, but okay. Oh, I don't know. Maybe because both our hides are on the line? I cross my arms and step away from Robin. That may be so, but I trust Maeve a great deal more than I trust you. Yeah, at this point, yeah. So whatever it is you're scheming, I'll have no part in it. What? Me? Scheming? Why, I never... I glare at him. Bah, okay, you win. But could you at least do me one teensy tiny little favor? How teensy tiny are we talking? The teeniest. I just need you to hold something for a bit. I heave a labored sigh. Relent or refuse? Oh, I don't know. I don't trust this. Oh no. I feel like it's gonna get me in trouble, whatever they're going to give me, so... No. No. Absolutely not. You're not much fun, are you? Oh well. Without another word, Robin saunters over to the dining table and picks up a loaf of bread and an entire boat of gravy, only to then immediately nudge a fellow to their left and hand the latter off to them, gesturing down toward the end of the table. I don't like the look of this. But before I can even think to intervene on whatever this is, the hapless accomplice has already shrugged and started making their way down the room, shouting all the while. Did I, naive even ask for some gravy over here? Robin smiles mischievously, watching and waiting. Suddenly, she looks back over at me, giving me a brief once-over before tearing off a strip of bread. Want some? I narrow my eyes and shake my head. Suit yourself. Robin then pops the torn piece into his mouth and chucks the rest of the bread clean across the room with the same speed and precision he threw my saddlebag earlier. Only this time, the poor lad with the gravy boat didn't have a strong lady friend to stop him from getting smacked upside the head, nor from tripping over and dumping the contents of the gravy boat. Right onto Maithe, just as she was about to leave the throne room. More... Oh gods, I'm so sorry. Who threw that? My mouth hangs wide open, as does everyone else in the room, except for Robin, who immediately leaps back over to me. Oh my, what a terrible turn of events. Poor Maeve's gonna have to find a change of clothes. Despite Robin's joviality, it does nothing to penetrate the fraught tension that now proliferates the room. Everyone has stopped eating, stopped talking. There's not a sound to be heard other than the faint drip, drip, drip of gravy onto the stonework floors. Maeve, meanwhile, has yet to say anything at all, nor even move from her spot by the door. Her back is completely turned to us, rendering it impossible to see her face or read her expression. The silence is unnerving, even to Robin, who exhales a wry chuckle. It's all gravy there, maybe. Wow. I couldn't have said it worse myself. Everyone who is not named Robin Goodfellow, kindly stand aside. With militant obedience, everyone standing between Maeve and Robin steps out of the way, leaving a clear pathway for Maeve to march down. Which she does, quickly and with direct focus. Someone's looking a little mad, huh? Come on now, I'm sure they didn't mean to. Maeve, Steelface, drops a hand onto Robin's shoulder. Robin. Yes? Goat is back on the menu. What? Insert scream here. He didn't stand a chance. Within seconds, Maeve had effortlessly hoisted Robin up over her head. Then she tossed them in a clean line down the table, hitting every item on it along the way. Great use of the soundtrack here. Impressively, it takes about a solid minute and a half for Robin to come to a skidding halt, now totally slathered from head to hoof in cake, tomato, mashed potato, and so on. She groans as she hobbles into an upright position, wiping the slurry of food from her face. Welp. Can't say I was expecting that. Good. Learned your lesson then? Nope. Suddenly, Robin springs to her feet, standing high atop the table with an entire tray of disparate food items, which she begins to pelt out wildly and with reckless abandon, having no care for anyone she may hit in the process. I know only escalation. Bollocks. Maeve, sensing her waning choice in the matter, attempts to rush Robin and get them to stop, but by now it's too late. Maeve may be strong, but Robin is quick. The game is on, and clearly Robin intends to win. He skips down the table, tossing food everywhere, including back at Maeve herself. A few bystanders attempt to slow Robin down by slinging food back at him, but not all of them meet their mark, which then inevitably results in a few cases of mistaken intent. And with it, retaliation. There's the food fight that I was expecting earlier, to be honest. Soon enough, with the feast itself half trashed and intoxication already running rampant through the crowd, others begin to participate in the mayhem in earnest. Maeve, briefly, tries to yell some sense in people, but she goes unheard in and amongst the pandemonium. Nothing is able to escape the pure, unadulterated chaos of culinary warfare as the walls, floors, and people between them get thoroughly smeared and soiled. It's nothing short of a miracle that I haven't been caught in the fray yet myself, but I know it's only a matter of time for me, so... Hide. Okay, I did have the chance to throw something back, I guess, but nah, I'm staying out of this. I duck and cover underneath the dining table, obviously. I'm not getting these fancy seelie clothes dirty. The battle rages on for a while, though I have no way of knowing what's happening out there beyond what I can see through the benches and hear above me. Though from what I can tell, Robin has remained for the most part on top of the table, zipping up and down, stirring up the chaos further, as Maithe continues to shout at him to stand down. Suddenly though, even as it seems the madness will never end. What are you all doing? Oh my god, yeah, I didn't expect too much else from Robin, I guess, from the description that I read before, but there you have it. Okay, let's go on to the next chapter. Chapter 8. The King's Proposal. All the joviality that was once present in the unseelie throne room abruptly dies. No one speaks, no one whispers, no one even dares to move. I strain my head from under the table, trying to catch a glimpse at the person whose mere presence managed to cut through Robin's calculated chaos in one fell swoop. It's no use, though. Between the benches and the crowds of people, I can't see anything at all, but I can still hear.
So is this what is to become of my father's court? The Dagda's feast, put to waste and desecrated. Chaos and tomfoolery at the very seat of our hard-fought throne.
Sire, permit me to explain. It is plain enough, Troidois. I'm sorry, my king. Things got out of hand. There's a long, palpable silence. I hold my breath, waiting in anticipation for what the king does next. All guests are to leave the premises effective immediately. Inform those still yet waiting to join in on the doctor's feast that it will recommence tomorrow, and know that tonight's hunger was wrought by your actions here. Now go. I hear murmurs and the swift shuffling of feet from all around me. In the moment, I'm tempted to duck out from under the table and sneak outside with the crowd, but I can't. Through the chaos, the benches got too wedged in under the table. There isn't room for me to wiggle out without calling attention to myself. Eventually, I hear the doors close again. The room descends into silence, but for the heavy and rapidly succeeding footsteps of, presumably, the king against the stone floors. Flan, slow down there, buddy. There's no need to... Isn't there, good fellow? Unable to help myself, I quickly press myself down to the floor and try to observe what's going on. I can't see much, but I do see the king. Tall, fiery-haired, and scowling. And I see Robin, hooves dangling mid-air, as the king hoists them up by the scruff of their neck. It doesn't seem to be hurting them, though, at least no more than a mother cat hurts her kittens. Because I can think of no one more flagrantly disrespectful as to instigate. Flannan, put him down. Flannan MacLuke, the given name means blood red, the surname means son of Luke. But he... started it? Yes. But I also accelerated the matter to an extent. Are you going to wring me out by the neck? Is this true? Robin proceeds to nod her head vigorously. Yep, we're all blasphemous here. The king abruptly drops Robin, who lands with an ungraceful clatter to the ground. Youchie, you dropped me on a fork. That fork in smarts. Really? If only any part of you was smart. In any case, I suppose both of you will have the profound displeasure of picking up every breadcrumb in this room tonight. I'll not have the servants waste their labor on such nonsense. Oh, great. Understood. Robin, despite their whining, springs up from the ground with surprising elasticity, but still makes a show of rubbing down their yauchi. Sure thing, Chief. Good. Now then, perhaps one of you can tell me who that might be under the table? Of course he knows. I expected as much. My eyes widen as I scramble away from my peeping spot, as though this would turn me invisible again. Just how long had he noticed I was there? I was here? Probably from the very beginning. Strangely though, I don't hear the conversation continue. Squinting, I crane my head slightly to the side, but all I hear are some whisperings, and then... I flinch and scurry myself slightly backward, now face to face with the king, who just seemingly lifted the entire table up with one hand. Effortlessly. Okay, strong boy, I see. Wow. The king stares at me, his face inscrutable. Then, wordlessly, he reaches his free hand out toward me, his palm turned downward for me to grasp. Take it or do not. I mean, if he's offering, sure. I glance between the king's face and his hand. Gingerly, I reach out and take it. His hands are firm and calloused, not to mention significantly larger than mine. Still, his hold is not aggressive, as he only uses enough force to help me out from under the table. Soon enough, I'm back on my feet again, and caught between the three collective stares of Robin, Maithe, and the king of the unseelie court. I fidget in my spot, waiting anxiously for someone to say something, do something, for anything to happen really. Still, I don't dare speak up first. I don't believe that belongs to you. I raise my head, furrowing my brow slightly at the king. Sorry? Without further elaboration, the king simply lifts his hand to me and hooks his finger beneath the clasp of Maeve's cloak. This. Remove it. The king's hand falls away from me. Instinctively, I look toward Maithe and Robin. But their faces tell me nothing. It seems between the three of us, all we can collectively feel is worry. With a sigh, and not much else I can do, I hesitantly remove the cloak, prompting the king to stand up straighter, with a hard expression on his face. I see. Another present from the Seelie court. The king cranes his head to the side, glaring at Robin. What? What? Why do you always assume it's my fault? It always is. But it's not this time. Not really. They just fell through one of the ley lines before I closed behind me. I didn't mean. How curious. Then I gather the assured security of your method of travel was an outright lie then. Who else might you have accidentally let in, I wonder? The king's words cause everyone else to fall silent for a moment, a palpable tension in the air. Plan, let's not jump to conclusions. Yeah, and besides it only happened because they were chasing me. Chasing you? Why? The king glances down my way, anticipating an answer. So I was just distracted by the horse face in the background. Okay. Shall we explain or let Robin explain? Yeah, sorry Robin, I don't trust you. And yeah, Maeve and I agreed that we would stay with the truth, so let me explain. They stole my things. Well, more like borrowed without permission. Robin. Yes, sir. Never speak again. Okay. The scowl on the king's face deepens. He brings his hand to his face and pinches the bridge of his nose. Well then, this is a profoundly idiotic state of affairs. You too. I want this place spotless by tomorrow. Of course. Yep, you can count on us. And you? The king turns to face me abruptly. You come with me. With that, the king briskly walks past me and over to the doors. I feel my heart beating in my ears, and my fears, unbidden, falling from my mouth. What are you going to do with me? The king stops in his tracks, peering over his shoulder. Violating the court's treaty of mutual surrender is a grave offense, Druid. What is to be done remains to be seen. Great. One last time, I look at Maeve and Robin. Maeve smiles at me softly, nodding her head. And Robin, of course, winks. I sigh, breathing deep, and follow after the king. Yeah, I don't think we have to expect too harsh of a thing here with the way Maeve was acting before, and also with what we know so far, how he's ruling. Like, that seems very... Is kind the right word? Like, if he's even acknowledging, yeah, I don't want to bother the servants with the mess you created. Great first impression, honestly. The unseelie king and I traverse through the semi-disrepaired castle halls without a single word passing between us. His stride is swift, but he does not attempt to overpower me, and in fact glances over his shoulder from time to time to make sure I'm keeping up. But my stomach twists and turns the longer we walk. Where is he taking me, and for what purpose? Robin and Maeve seem to be confident enough that the king is reasonable and that he won't take drastic action. But is that true? So far, he seems temperamental and austere, even self-righteous. Really? And what's worse, he has good reason to distrust me. And that's fair, but... My unintended transgressions aside, he thinks, like everyone else does, that I'm a member of the Seelie court, and an important member at that. Right now, for all intents and purposes, he and I are enemies. We're here. I startle a little as the king's sudden announcement pulls me out of my musings. Where's here? Looking around, we don't seem to be anywhere in particular, just standing in front of an inconspicuous door, somewhere fairly out of the way on the other side of the castle. Let me guess, a guest room? Oh, even better. My bedchambers. I raise my eyebrows, but have no time to respond. The king immediately turns the door handle, opening it wide, and... Oof. Unable to stop what's about to happen, I find myself being tackled to the ground by 3 large dogs, all bounding out past the king in quick succession. There's nothing I can do but lie there, flat and helpless, as I'm mercilessly stepped on, nuzzled and licked. Conry, Connell, Cuan, stop that. Wait. The beloved pups of King Flannan. Right. Despite the king's commands, there's seemingly no end to the onslaught. I'm surrounded on all sides, and they're much too big for me to shove aside or squirm away from in a hurry. Eventually, the king is forced to come to my direct aid, kneeling down and pushing past the dogs in order to grab hold of my arm and pull me up. Get a hold of yourselves, you know better. Sorry about that. They're very excitable. Still regaining my bearings, all I can manage is a breathless nod and a wary smile. Anyway, come in. The king stands aside for me and the dogs, who all run back into the room ahead of he and I. After giving the king a brief glance, I turn my head downward again and follow suit. As I step inside, the first thing I notice is that the king's room is remarkably plain? Or at the very least unkingly. It's not terribly big or fancy. There's a wardrobe, some shelves, a table, a tanning rack, and a chair and footstool by the fire. But I could just as well see this room belonging to Maithe or even an important servant. There's no sense of status, nothing beyond sheer utility. Did the king choose this room? It's odd, in hindsight, that it's so down and out of the way. Stranger still, though, is what's missing from the room entirely. Namely, a bed. Could it be in that other room, with the locked door? This one? I don't know. No, locked is the wrong word for it. The door is bolted shut from the outside with not one but 2 locks and a large plank of wood. I find myself staring at it longer than I should. Yeah, well, that does make you curious. Take a seat. I whirl back around to the king's gaze, putting the strange door out of my mind. I get the feeling it's the last thing I ought to be asking about at the moment, so I simply follow the king's gesture over to the fireside and sit down. In the meanwhile, the 3 dogs all pile onto the rugs down and around my feet, all panting and warming themselves by the fire. As for the king, he remains standing, leaning back against the table. Where he removes his eye patch, placing it down beside him. Okay. I didn't expect him to do that, and I'm surprised by what I see. There's a redness around the eye, perhaps a burn mark? But the eye itself has something strange about it too, though I can't quite put my finger on it. Yeah, I didn't expect this kind of reveal so early either. Interesting.
Think me handsome, do you?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Why do you time something like that? Mean. But again, I'm staying truthful, right? Oh, I hope he doesn't take it as mocking. Yes. Didn't expect that, did you? I slap my hand immediately over my mouth. Christ, why did I say that? Oh, well. Splashing. Unfortunate, given the circumstances. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... The king holds up his hand, seemingly just as eager to move on from the subject as I. Thank you. Tell me what you know of the War of the Chords, Druid of the Seelie Court. I sit up straighter and tilt my head, racking my brain for what to say. Not much, or tell me. I mean, we can need all the information we can get, even if I'm not able to retain all of it. But is that kind of rude to turn the question around? Tell me? Well, why don't you tell me? I only really know one side of things, and all that was a while before my time. Okay, that's a good way to put it, I think. I doubt you have a lifetime to spare for the entirety of that tale, child of Mil. Did we have that before? A reference to the Milesians? Ancestors of the modern Gaels. But I am pleased by your curiosity and willingness to listen. Okay, great. I will be as brief as I can. Thank you. Once, Tir Nanok was a united land, at least in name. 4 provinces were ruled over by the unbroken lineage of Borderg, who was himself of Daoine's progeny. The blood of the goddess sanctified his reign, as well as his descendants thereafter. Yet, Tir Nanok found itself plagued by a fool, King Anrai. He was weak, ignorant, and turned a blind eye to the grotesque greed of the noble houses and the corruption in his own court as well. Half the land was inundated by abject poverty and squalor. The average tradesman could hardly afford to eat, and what remained of their meager earnings was either returned to the state or found its way into the pockets of the brutes tasked with tax collection. They were almost no better off than the serfs, if not for one crucial detail. The Tiarnai owned all serf labor and subjected them to long, grueling work hours in the fields and mines. Lords. Okay. A high lord would be called Argirna. Do not mistake me though. Our nobility was not a unique evil. Phalias and Phineas played no small part in the subjugation of Murias and Gorias as well. After all, there was nothing to prevent the Tiarnai of spring and summer from indefinitely inflating their exports, and thus, in a sense, tepidly justify the autumn and winter Tiarnai as they worked my people to their brink. But not for their sake, of course. The Tiarnai only concerned themselves with maintaining their own wealth, lest they endure foregoing a decadent feast or all their other material fineries. Anyway, the most vulnerable people of Tir Nanok were suffering, living existences of pure misery. Good, honest, hard-working folk would watch their children starve, and yet no one member of the ruling class did anything to stop it, much less the king. They were only peasants after all. The death tolls only mattered if it impacted local production, and the quality of their lives were not worthy of consideration at all. We were in dire straits, such to the point that the gods had no choice but to intervene. This was not the first time the Tuatha Dé had faced such vile adversity, but in those days it was the Fomor who kept us bound and repressed. Povore? The Fomorians, an ancient enemy of the Tuatha Dé. Okay. Still too many names. Not our own people. My head spins as I take in all of this, but one question sticks out in my mind. Who are the 40? The gods intervened. The gods intervened? What do you mean when you say the gods had no choice but to intervene? I'm surprised you don't know, Druid. The blessings of Danu are many. Chief among them has long life for all, and godhood or even rebirth for the utmost exceptional. Hiking Luke, for example. He led an extraordinary first life, accomplished great things for the Tuatha Dé. In turn, he is now regarded as a god, and has lived several lives throughout our history. The warrior Ku Clan, for instance, and my father, Lugaid. He, along with a druid named Finn, were the driving forces behind our rebellion. They embodied the souls of our ancient kings, who likewise fought for the freedom of the Tuatha Dé. The Seelie can sneer and disbelieve all they want, but our cause is righteous, and my father. The king suddenly turns away from me for a moment, so that I cannot see his face. He was an unparalleled leader and an inspiration to us all. All that we have today was wrought by his hands. Okay, so different from what we heard. I think what the Queen of the Seelie Court told us. What happened in the end, or why are you telling me this? Again, I want to ask both. Yeah, how are we involved? Why are you telling me this? What do you want from me? I squint a little, fidgeting in my seat. So, why are you telling me this? Straight to the point then. First things first, I won't be sending you to the block, so you needn't look at me so sullenly. But it isn't on Tridor or Goodfellow's word, nor is it because I trust you. It's because, and only because, your death benefits the Seelie more than it benefits us. Yeah. With no disrespect to you or your capabilities, you're an expendable asset to the Seelie. If you die, another druid will take your place. But you are important enough to cause a stir. Treaty or no treaty, they'll call your execution first blood. Yep. This so-called peace, this pathetic truce, it was never meant to last. It was only ever the Seelie's last-ditch effort to stop the oncoming tide, to give them time to regather their strength. But, to their credit, it worked. We're weaker now than we were then, having lost not only one of our patriarchs, but two. Finn lost to the war, and now Lugaid. Murdered. I stare at the king, my mouth agape. What? It is not common knowledge. Only the closest in my circle know, and now, so do you. Ooh, why me or I'm sorry? Again, I want to say both. Like, I'm sorry. Why me? It's obviously affecting him, so gonna go with I'm sorry. I'm in shock. I can't believe what the king is telling me. I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. Sorry? Most Seelie thought of Lugaid as a villain, a traitor. Why should you care about his manner of death? Well, I can't know the state of his character either way, but he was still your father, and you his son. Thank you. But I don't tell you this in hopes of reaching a sympathetic ear. I want you to help me find the bastard who killed him, and if the Seelie are to blame. I nearly choke on the air, all manner of color leaving my face. One of the dogs looks up at me, startled by the sound. You what? But I... Are the court druid to the Seelie Queen, yes. If this was her plot or the doing of another member, you are close enough to the beast's beating heart to discover its nature. I'm no fool, though. I don't believe I've swayed your loyalties just by relaying you this tale. For all I know, the moment I release you, you'll go crawling back to the Queen. Of course, if you do, keep in mind the Seelie will be more inclined to honor the treaty than I at present. So I'd advise against it. Besides, I can offer you something that the Seelie Queen cannot. Or perhaps more accurately, will not. And what's that? Your freedom. Your freedom to leave. I don't claim to be privy to the ins and outs of magic or how it works, but I know desperation when I look it in the eye. No Seelie is as skinny as you. You've been starving yourself, trying to open one of the waypoints out of Tirnanok and into Inisval, haven't you? No, don't even bother responding. I know that it's true. I've seen others try it during the height of war, and die in the process. I mean, he's not too far off. I mean, our reasoning is that we want to go back, but interesting that others have done that. You should know that one druid isn't enough to break through Danu's seal, except for maybe the archdruid, and even then, your window of time is brief. Maybe you do somehow manage the ritual all by yourself. You'd still have maybe a minute or two before the waypoint closes again. You could die, or get lost in the void between. Forever. Good to know. It isn't a risk worth taking. Trust me. Besides, as you know, the Order of the Eternal Flame took no side in the war, and agreed to assist both dominions in druidic and godly affairs. What I'm saying is, I have the power to ask that you be let free, and I will, upon my honor, should you decide to help us. Tempting. I don't know. I understand that you've had a very long day, so I will give you 3 days of sanctuary to make your choice. Even if you are a spy, you won't find out much in that time. After that, you will no longer be welcome here, and must either return to the Seelie or face the consequences of your actions, accident or not. Understood? I nod and find myself wordlessly rising to my feet. I wasn't dismissed, but I need to get out of this room. I need to think. The king, for his part, does not stop me, but as I begin to open the door... One last thing, child of Mil. Tentatively, I look over my shoulder.
This story is bigger than you and your desires. Remember that as you make your choice.
Yeah, I feared that. That's what I'm afraid of, really. I say nothing, closing the door behind me. The saddlebag slips from my hand, the treasures it contains sprawling out across the floor below me. I can scarcely bear to look. They will say I died. And that is the end of the demo, it looks like. Yeah, that's gonna be really tricky to make decisions like don't only affect me or the romance routes or something, but the whole world. A war, maybe? Very complicated. And so far in, nobody knows or believes who we are. That makes it even worse. Oh boy. Thank you for playing. Thank you for making the game and giving us this opportunity with the demo. It's always really great to get a proper feel of what the game is like. Anything else? Oh, okay. There's a door. It is sealed shut. What? Unlock the door or walk away? What? Unlock the door? Password. I don't have it! Oh, I think I've briefly saw this mentioned by someone. You can find the password somewhere here, I think. Otherwise I wouldn't have included it. But I have no idea. I have no idea, so I'm gonna have to let the timer run out. I'm sorry. Well, you do have a chance to try out the demo yourself. As always, I have the links in the description down below. It is both on Steam and itch, so you can have a try yourself. And I mean, we already had a good bunch of decisions there, like a good amount of decisions that you could take. Quick time events to manage or not. Okay. Anything else? I mean, ooh, the door does not heed your words. How frustrating. You're certain you had the right words written down somewhere. Did you leave it at home? In your pocket? Well, I'm gonna have to walk away for now. Yep. So again, you can try everything out for yourself, try different choices, and maybe you'll find the password and can see the rest of it. So the full game, or yeah, it's going to start releasing in autumn this year, but it's going to be in volumes. That's what it says on Steam. Like the state is early access, basically. I'm not quite sure what that means, as in how many chapters we get. Yeah, just look at it yourself if this piqued your interest. I think it's really interesting. The whole world building, as I said, is a bit overwhelming at first, but that's also because I don't know anything about this kind of lore, about the history. Of a very, very vague knowledge. So it's a lot at first, but I'm sure you get into it as time goes on. And especially if they're saying it's gonna be a really long story, sure, that really fits then. Yeah. As always, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Who will you romance first? I think all the characters have something really unique and interesting about them. I think I would go maybe for Shay first, but then again, several of them, or all of them, are intriguing in their own way. And yeah, as I mentioned in the first episode, you don't necessarily have to go for the romance route. They all also have like platonic options. If romance isn't your thing, that's great. And yeah, I think that's it from me. Let me know what you think and maybe try it out for yourself. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and until the next game. Bye bye!